By the way, I'm smoking, so don't let that trip you out. First things first, I would like to say is, man, R.I.P. Notorious B.I.G. So anyways, the topic of this whole discussion is basically how the West Coast don't get no props. Now, me personally, I'm from the South, but this biasness, this New York East Coast biasness, it just don't affect the West. It affects the South too. It affects anybody and everybody. I mean, it's a lot of so-called hip-hop heads, like, and purists of hip-hop that, diss the West, saying that, they were just doing gangsta this, gangsta that, but then Big did the same thing. He took that same formula and used it and utilized it, and there were some people on the East, rappers, J. Rue, a lot of different people that criticized it, but, a lot of people just look back with rose-colored glasses on and they forget. I mean, what Puffy was basically trying to do, man, he was trying to create like a East Coast version of Deathrow. The West Coast was deeply rooted in these influences. A lot of people don't see that, but I see it. I'm 29 years old. I know the game, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, when that Ready to Die album came out, man, they was trying to get a heavy influence out west. Out west for sure. I mean, that's why they were out in LA when Big got shot. You can thank your boy Puffy for that. Why would you send somebody out during that time when it's deadly to even be out there? But I mean, I was on the internet and I'm looking, and there's a Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die West Side Story sampler cassette. And as everybody knows, it's Biggie, rapping over those Deathrow and West Coast instrumentals. They were already trying to break ground over there.
Suck my dick. The doctor said I need about 3 weeks of recovery, but the nurses is loving me, saying the best part of the day is my half, feeding me breakfast and giving me a sponge bath.
They ripped off a lot of stuff too. I mean, if you look at the Ready to Die album, during the intro skit was one of the first piece of music you hear. You hear Snoop Dogg's The Shiznit. People forget, man. I mean, Big, me personally, I didn't know who the hell Notorious Big even was prior to like late 94, I mean like December. I didn't know who this guy was. And he wasn't really on MTV yet, and I just remember watching, and my cousins, when Big Papa came on, they knew the whole song, and I'm like, who is this chubby big dude? He looked, I'm just be honest, he looked greasy to me. Who is this dude who's trying to be this pimp, this player? He's just trying to be so fly. And then by 95, I mean, him and Puffy, they took over the whole summer. You know what I mean? They took over everything by 95. But I mean, even if you listen to Biggie when he goes, baby, baby, I mean, that was West Coast stuff. You listen to Eazy-E's album where he disses Dre, the 187, Dre album or whatever it's called. The first thing he says is, Dre's gonna make me some more money, baby, baby.
Hi, what's up, honey? Ho, gonna make me some more money, baby.
That was West Coast stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's using West Coast stuff. Even Juicy with, it's all good.
It's all good.
I mean, MC Hammer had a song called It's All Good. That was West Coast slang. That was West Coast stuff. And they basically jacked it, and then everybody's acting like, they're the biggest genius on the planet. They jacked a whole lot of stuff. A lot of people don't realize how much stuff that they jacked. I mean, it's known that Puff had Biggie listen to the Chronic album like from top to bottom, and it's quite clear. I mean, you listen to Biggie's song, what's that song, Things Done Changed? I mean, a lot of that inspiration came from Little Ghetto Boy from Dre, and it even has Little Ghetto Boy samples in there. You know, but now they blast, right? Back in the day, it came from Dr. Dre. And they had Easy Mo B, who's, to me, my favorite East Coast producer because he's versatile. I mean, he made stuff for Tupac, he made stuff for Biggie, he did straight ballin', he could do funk. He did Queen Latifah's song, Elements of My Mom. He chopped that James Brown, the Big Payback sample up and just flipped it. But I mean, Ready to Die was a East Coast, West Coast album. They had all them wah-wah guitars and stuff in there. It was a lot of funk elements, and they were sampling a lot of funk. A lot of people don't talk about that though. You know, they just, it's an East Coast album. Not really. Big Pop is a G-Funk song. During the hook, it's got the sound wave synthesizer playing. I mean, that's West Coast stuff. Everybody knows that, you know. Warren G used that Juicy sample before Biggie and them did. So I mean, Bad Boy was hanging around Deathrow, just taking notes on what to steal and what not to steal. And I'm not really saying it was Biggie, it was Puffy telling them to, you know, put this in here, put that in there. But one thing I want to do is give Coolio some props, because people just think about the Gangsta Paradise, but that whole album, It Takes a Thief, was a big hit back in '94. You know, and that came out before anybody even really knew who Biggie was. Coolio has some gangster songs. Mama, I'm in Love with a Gangster. He has some real hard-hitting stuff on there. A lot of people don't talk about that. There's one song in particular. It's a Coolio song, and it was heard on the Poetic Justice movie. It wasn't in the soundtrack, but and that movie was shot in, '92 during the riots. It's a song called Sticky Fingers. And it's basically Coolio talking about, you know, how he's just like robbing people and stuff, and that's what he does. He steals, you know. And you listen to Biggie's song, Give Me the Loot, it's like painted a little bit different, but it's basically the same song. It's similar, even with the scratching of the hooks.
Where the paper at?
When he's sticking you and taking all your money.
Give me the loot, give me the loot. Give me the loot, give me the loot. Give me the loot, give me the loot. Give me the loot, give me the loot.
You know, Coolio, he had parts where he was scratching the hook. He was like, give me that, and he would sample different rappers.
Before I was a rap singer, they call me Sticky Fingers. When he's sticking you and taking all of your money.
Big does the same thing with Give Me the Loot. They even scratched in the same line from Gangstar, which was from their song Just to Get a Rep, talking about sticking you, taking all your money. I mean, so they got a lot of inspiration from the West Coast cats, man. And, you know, it's about time this stuff is just said. A lot of people don't know that. Lady of Rage had a song called Afro Puffs, and she got the G-Funk remix of that song. If you listen to the sample, the Afro Puff song came out before Biggie came out. And if you listen to Biggie's song, The What, it's using the same sample. So
I used to get feels on the bitch. Now I throw shields on the dick to stop me from that HIV shit. And niggas know they soft like a Twinkie fillin', playing the villain. Prepare for this rap killing. Biggie Smalls is the illest. Your style is played out like Arnold, and what you talking about, Willis?
still kicking up dust. So let me loosen up my bra strap and let me boost it with my raw rap. Cause I'ma break it down to the nitty gritty one time. When it comes to the lyrics, I get busy with mine.
Puffy and them was sitting back, listening, taking notes heavy. You know, but a lot of people don't want to admit this, you know. They just want to say, oh, if it's from the East Coast, it's hip hop, and if it's coming from somebody else does gangsta, it's not hip hop. I mean, that's bull. That's bull to me. I think that's BS. You know, you took something and you copied it. Give credit what credit is due. And Deathrow had a lot of live instrumentation. Listen to Bad Boy sound from, 93 to really 94 to 95. It's, you know, that gritty East Coast sound. But if you listen to what they did from 96 and on, a lot of that stuff was ripped off from Jermaine Dupri. A lot of people don't know this.